Hey everybody, that's Pete. I'm Andy. This is Pete and Andy Talk Ski on your TV. It finally happened. After all the build-up, the Olympic slopestyle event went down, Pete. It was something else. But it seems like the one thing that we can all agree on is that no one agrees about anything. Pete, what did you think? Was it an unmitigated disaster? Was it a dump twister fire? Will you explain everything to me?
I can explain some things. I think the biggest takeaway for me is that the athletes themselves they did their very best, and it was fantastic, right?
There
And
was
I
some
think,
excellent skiing for what
yeah,
the conditions were, I guess you could
as
say, right?
as there should be. We have this Olympic squad that was there from all these countries. They're going to be able to ski anything. They could have skied a
Yeah.
baby park, and it would have been the coolest thing we'd ever seen.
Well, they basically
That
did,
being
but yeah, go.
yeah, so that being said, is when I think back to the games in South Korea, right? Great course set up and great rails and everything. And when the final result came down, there wasn't a ton of oh boy, oh geez, oh this, oh that. And so my biggest takeaway is almost to just I'm going to put a lot of my questions, I'm going to call them questions,
Okay, that's nice of
on
you.
the course design itself and the judges. Like
Okay, okay.
those are my big issues with the event.
I don't think you're
And
in the minority for that at all. So
no,
you go right
I
ahead.
yeah, I just think that the course design itself, and I've seen this from skiers, from snowboarders, from everybody, is like, what are these rails? Why do you have to side slip
Yeah,
down in between them? And
yeah.
just three straightforward jumps that weren't huge. It
Pete,
was a
so let me say,
bummer.
it. They initially, Italy, right? Whatever, Livigno, Milan, they initially put in this bid for these games in 2017, 9 years ago. They've been supposedly planning this slopestyle course for 9 years. If you were planning a slopestyle course for 9 years, wouldn't you expect to get something better than this?
I would, and I don't know who did the build. I assume it was Schneestern, which is they're the biggest, best builder anywhere in Europe, right? They do 9 nights, they do all this crazy stuff,
Okay.
and then to show up to this event, so maybe they didn't use them, but I think this is
I
where
don't
there
know.
was a lack of oversight. This was where there was a lack of not public comment, right? I could tell you a million different things. If I designed a slope course for 9 years, I would have 900 different renditions of it. But the
Yeah,
fact that
I don't know.
this just seems like it just got kind of phoned in, kind of like
Yeah.
our sport's always been, like a little forgotten about. Like, oh yeah, dude, we need to put three rail sections and three jumps up.
It was
We forgot
very
about that.
tough. It was very tough coming from the X Games course, which to me was one of the better X Games
Yeah,
courses we've had in a long time, to this. And honestly,
absolutely.
I'm like, this is like the worst slopestyle course we've had in years, and it's at the Olympics.
Yeah, the X
So
Games course this year put it to shame. Put the
that's what I
Olympics course
thought.
to shame.
Agreed. Well, should we move on to the next part of your disappointment? So
Sure.
here's what I think. And looking at the men's podium, right? If I hadn't seen the event, if I knew nothing, and you just told me like, okay, this is what the men's podium's going to be. Birk Ruud's going to be first. AHall's going to be second. Luca Harrington's going to be third. I'd be like, absolutely. I actually think when we did the predictions for these, I think this was your exact podium. I think it was a
It was
different order, but I
it was
literally
yeah,
think
it
you
was
predicted this
close.
podium.
I have my
So
whiteboard right here still,
yeah,
and it was
evidence.
AHall, Birk, Ruud, Luca.
Yeah.
So it somewhere in that order.
Yeah, and mine was fairly similar too. So I'm not surprised at all at that podium. The problem is I watched the event, and
Yeah.
I am very surprised that Birk Ruud won with his run. Pete, your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah, same sort of thing. And we put a little something out on Instagram about it too, like
We
explain this
did.
to us, especially the second rail. But
Yeah.
my big takeaway before looking at those back to back
Okay.
was watching the event live. I remember that Burke does, it's like a switch two to forwards and it's off early. And in my head, as soon as I saw that, I was like, that's not a winning run.
Yeah.
Because I can do, and you can probably do, Andy, a
Even
switch
me.
to to forwards and probably come off a little early. And like, we're not.
I
even
could
trying to
definitely come
It's
off
just gonna
early. Yeah.
happen. Yeah.
I would be great at that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think when that score dropped, I was like very confused, and that to me was a lapse, just a lapse in judging.
Yeah, and I mean that score dropped early. I think that was his first run, and I just remember looking at that and being like, "That's a high score." I'm like it's beatable, but it's a high score, and it literally held the whole contest.
Yeah.
So should we get into the details? Because I want to do this so bad. So. There's a lot, right? Like they give us this section by section scoring. Now there's a ton of scores in there. And I think there's a ton of different places where you could look and be like, maybe, so-and-so should have gotten some more points. Maybe so-and-so should have gotten some less points. But man, this whole thing really boils down nice into section 2. And this is what we put up on Instagram. And so what is section 2? The second rail section in the course, there is a rail that I think I'm being generous when I'm saying it's about 12 feet long, right? And then there's a bit of a space in between 2 more rails. There is a flat rail and there is a gap to a down rail. Each of those rails, maybe they're like 20 feet long, something like that. Pete, does that sound accurate to you?
Those were bigger. I feel like the down had to have been quite longer because there was some nice disasters there.
True.
So yeah, definitely bigger than the first part of section 2.
Yes, I would completely agree. Should we go? Do you want me to? Okay, so I'll just explain what Ruud did. On the first rail, the short rail, he did a 450 pretzel 270, right? And then going into the second rail, he actually didn't hit the second rail. He skipped the second rail, did a switch 3 next to it, and then did a blender, kind of like a blind 270 onto the down rail, and came off just a little bit on his heels, came off early. I'm assuming he wanted to do a continuing 270 on that because he actually did that later on in the contest. So I think that kind of sums up what Birk did. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Do you remember what AHall did? Do you want to do AHall's thing?
So AHall second section, I think, was switch tail butter to continue to.
Yeah.
And then on the flat to down transfer was a back 3 swap pretzel 2.
So
I
think it's like he slid onto it and then he went to 50-50 and then he did 270 to pretzel 270.
Yeah. And I think I know
essentially, but he threw a 50-50 in there. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I know in training he had done some other 50-50s. Anyways, all that to say that what AHall did on the rails there is just of high consequence. Like that's like what we're looking for. That's not what we're looking for. That's what gets you
That's what I'm looking for, but
yeah, but that's what gets you scored well, and especially like a high level event is like, did he take the chance to do something crazy? And he did.
Yeah, and he, from what I remember, like cleaned that rail, like that bottom of the third rail,
clean.
like to the bottom, like, middle of the boots, off the rail, pretzel 270. And it was just one of those things where it was like whoa, like he got that thing, it was one of those.
It was classic, like you can't do it better sort of deal. And again,
I agree.
On this stage at the Olympics, and even with the course setup, that's it. You crushed. He crushed.
So I'm pulling up the full analysis sheet here just in case we need it. So here was my interpretation of Birk's run. He, on that first short rail, let's call it the mini park rail, he did, a 4 pretz 2, which is a real trick, right? Like a 4 pretz 2 is a decent trick. However, I feel doing a 4 pretz 2 on a dinky little rail, it's kind of like dunking on your 12-year-old brother on an 8-foot rim. You know what I mean? Like, It's fun, right? Like, we all do it. I've done it. Well, I don't have a brother. I have a nephew. And yeah, like I've dunked on him and it's a blast. But no one would look at that and be like, he's the best in the world. You know what I mean? Like, we all kind of understand that it's just like, okay, like, cool, but it's an 8-foot rim and that's your little brother. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, you know, LeBron isn't scared. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to start, like, no one's going to sign you to a $20 million NBA contract. Yeah.
Correct.
And then he didn't even slide the second rail. And don't get me wrong, right? Like the line that he did, you know, like the switch 3 to like the really quick transition into the blender 2-7, like that's not bad, right? Like I'm kind of like, that's creative. Like I'm into that. Like that's kind of cool. But let's be honest, sliding the rail would have been harder. And then number 3, he comes off the last rail early and doesn't complete the rail. But it's not a big deal. Like he came off his heels a little bit. He's only doing a continuing 2. It's not like it's, you know, a mind-blowing trick. But still, you didn't complete the rail. Like, you can't not spin off of a rail at, you know, and get on a podium, generally speaking. You know what I mean? Like, this is literally the Olympics. So I was underwhelmed by Birk's Section 2. Pete, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with it. And I
did
think
I
the reason
oversell anything?
No, not at all. And just
Okay,
like
good.
context wise, I think the reason that we're like kind of like harping or hyper focusing on this second rail feature was the discrepancy in scores there, right? Where you can look at the rest of the run and be like, well, look at Birk's rest of his run. Dude's great. Birk's great. He's super good.
Yeah.
Right. And AHall's run was super great too. The biggest issue that we have here is that AHall was scored lower than Ruud on this second section rail feature. And that to me is a big discrepancy.
And low
Whatever
enough.
You want to call it.
Low enough where even if they had the same score, AHall would have won the Olympics. And in my opinion, AHall should have scored like at a minimum a point higher, like at an absolute minimum, like maybe 2 points. Like, I don't think it's outrageous to be like Birk gets a 7, AHall gets a 9.5 on that section. I'm not exaggerating. I really think AHall demolished him on that section and Birk got scored higher.
Yeah, I think, you know, there's other Olympic events that we can look back at too. I think Sochi was one. I think South Korea was one. I don't think Beijing had it, where they've added like a little something in there, right? That's not like this like wildly judged thing, but you still kind of got to do something on it.
I agree.
It's like you kind of do something on it, but again, throwing a hammer trick on the whatever, you know, little bump or something doesn't elevate your score any higher. It's just like, it's almost like the check mark of like, oh yeah, they're a ripper. And they're crushing their run and they're in the flow and everything's looking good and it's sweet, but it doesn't, to me, you don't get, it's not a bonus point feature. This isn't Mario Kart.
You need to respect that it's in the course, right? You can't just skip it. You need to respect that it's in the course, but it's not supposed to win you the Olympics. Literally. Win you the Olympics.
Potentially, be kind of a point difference thing. It's just very odd, and I would love to hear some judging. I don't know, some feedback. I wish they would go to our YouTube channel and answer in the comments. Like what?
I would love that too.
Those 3 section judges like tell us what's going on. And to be honest, this is probably a good segue because we hammered this one pretty good. There's potentially some other discrepancies in there too with Luca Harrington's run, who by the way, great run. Podium contender on the podium. Very happy for you. You know, we think that maybe we think that you potentially got a little underscored as well.
So, okay. Pete did a great job of leading this in. So I promised I wasn't going to do any more math. I promised. But so I looking at Luca's scores, right? His section score, I know no one really cares or knows what that is. Whatever. There's 2 scores. There's section score, there's composition score. Section score is 60%, composition score is supposed to be 40%. We'll get more into that in our last video. Whatever. Point is, his section score was higher than anybody else. He had the highest section score of the entire contest. Whoa, right? The problem is that his
Whoa.
composition score was low enough such that if he had just gotten the composition score of the fourth, maybe fifth place skier, I don't know if I look that far, but the fourth place skier who was Andre, he would have won, and he would have won by a good amount. So the question is, why were there a difference in two scores? Well, those two scores, section score, composition score, aren't supposed to be exactly the same. The composition score is supposed to value more variety, right? Because section score, individual judges, individual features, composition score, judges have the benefit of seeing the entire course, and therefore you are to be judged on variety of spin rotation, trick, grab, all that stuff.
Wow factor.
Yeah, all that stuff. And that is, yeah, and I agree with that, right? That is important. That is an important part of slopestyle, all that stuff. Okay. This is where it gets interesting. I was like, yeah, but like, bro, it is so low compared to that section score. I went through all of the section by section scores for the past 3 years. And I compared all of the section scores to the composition scores. And I just wanted to know, like, how often does this happen? How often does a section score just tank your overall score this much? Well, Pete, if you would turn to Appendix A of the packet, I have given us, a nice little chart here of some blue lines. And so these blue lines are all the top 5 scores in the past 3 years. The left side of the blue lines, right, that's composition score, helping your overall score. The right side is composition score, hurting your whole score. I would say judges generally want to be kind of in the middle, right? Like, I would say they probably don't want, a huge change in your score unless, the variety was really that terrible, right? Like, the variety would have to be terrible. So anyway, where is Luca on this? He is 4th to last. So he got the 4th worst composition score compared to section score that we've seen in 3 years. And this is
3 years.
In 3 years. And this is, I think, one of 2 times I saw that if the composition score was so bad, it actually pulled you out of first place and moved you down like at least 2 spots. So that's only happened twice in 2 years.
I would, it begs, it's like, I would love to go back and deep dive on Luca's run and try to figure out how you could come up with this was like a very, very poor put together run. But I'm not going to do that because that's not worth my time, because I watched his run and I don't need to remember every detail to tell you that there is just no way.
I mean, it wasn't perfect, right? Like, for sure. There were none of the runs that were perfect, but I agree with you. I really do agree with you that it just shouldn't have been that bad.
Yeah, and it's like it's really tough too, because it's like, I don't know. At the end of the day, they're like, okay, it's not just a score, like, it's ranking, and it's like, okay, but you're coming up with this ranking by scoring, so that's fine. But if they were to say, like, actually, we think this is the 3rd place run, and then we're just using the composition score as a way to elevate or decrease somebody's standing and ranking, that's not very transparent. Like, then we're just back to, like, it's overall impression.
Why don't we all just do overall impression?
And if that's what it is, and you've just, like, made this so convoluted that you could just kind of continue doing overall impression and, like, try to confuse all of us, well, guess what? You can't confuse Andy, because Andy did the math on it.
I did way too much math. I mean, and it's just, and again, to me, the biggest problem with Luca's score, it just wasn't a top 4 worst variety that we've seen in 3 years. That, to me, makes 0 sense. You can say that there's imperfections, but that makes 0 sense. There's no reason for the section judges and the composition judges to be that far apart on that run.
I don't think so either. And the only, like, kind of discrepancy that I could see was, like, his cannon. And I think he mistied off the cannon or something like that, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, sure, whatever. Then you go down to the last jump, and he does the 14 pullback, where I was like, I was jumped out of my seat.
Fell out of my chair.
Insane.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So those things kind of even each other out, right? We're not talking about 2 things that really detracted from the run at all. We're talking about one and one, like, oh my gosh, in a slope run, no way you did
Yeah.
that. So yeah, I guess it just continues to leave me confused.
Yeah.
The
And
data and the
so,
results.
and yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I know that this has been harped on, on the internet by a lot of people. So I'm not super interested in piling on, but for me, it's just like, I mean, they literally ruined the Olympics. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like this needs to be the wake up moment, right? This needs to be the wake up call where, okay, something's not working. Like, they literally ruined the Olympics. Like, it's pretty bad, right? It's pretty bad. And so this next thing, I did a little more math, and
Of course you did.
I and this is the kind of thing that if I still worked in the ski industry, I wouldn't show this to anybody. Especially if I coached, I wouldn't show this to anybody, right? Like, this is the kind of thing that you don't want to, like it because it makes people look bad, right? Like, it's what?
For sure, but just to
What?
before you go into it here, as you said,
Uh-huh.
boy, if I worked there, if I was a coach, I would never say this. But because we're
No
like a
chance.
third party, we're gonna air it. Is this what you're saying?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm
Okay.
saying. That
Okay.
I
Okay,
know
I'm just
no one
making
would.
sure I'm on the same page.
Yeah.
I'm just
Okay.
making sure.
First of all, obviously, no one else would do the math because I'm the biggest dork in skiing. Number one, but number
You
two,
said it, I didn't.
I mean, I've embraced that a long time ago, Pete. Okay, Pete, if you would turn to Appendix B in the packet, you will see a chart. It's kind of orangey and red. Is that red? Burnt orange? Whatever.
Yeah.
And you'll notice on this chart that there's definitely a trend going on here where the lines are kind of moving, from the lower left going up into the right. Would you say that that's accurate?
Yes.
So what this chart is showing is how over the past 2 years, or I'm sorry, the past 3 years, how the composition score and the section score are going apart, right? They're not so this is measuring, whatever, the percentage of scores, that are different. So volume percentage of scores that are, different from each other, whatever.
Yeah.
And there's definitely more of those in 2026 than there are in 2024. And that's why everything is going up and to the right. However, as we mentioned, but Andy, you said that they're not supposed to be the same. That's true. They're not supposed to be the same. Variety is supposed to be the big difference. So to me, there's two ways that you can describe this trend of composition and section scores growing further apart as we get further along in years. And Pete, you watch more slopestyle, you follow slopestyle as much as anybody. Do you feel that skiers are showing less variety in their runs now than they have over the past couple years?
No.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I think the only thing that you could say that would limit that would be like the course setup, like our Olympics course. But that's not a good enough factor because I think we saw
Yeah.
a ton of variety even, at the Olympics this year. And I would
Yeah.
say in any other contest that we've had, like, yeah, we're seeing a difference like all over the place.
Yeah.
The creativity grows, rail tricks grow. I mean, yeah, the whole thing.
I agree. And if we were seeing more variety and that were reflected in scores, these lines should be moving down and to the right. They're moving in the opposite direction. Okay. So what could the other possibility mean? And this is what I feel is happening, is that judges' scores are getting more random. Another way to say that is that judging is getting worse.
Yeah,
So let me say
that's
this a little bit louder one time for people in the back. I think the scores and the numbers show objectively that judging is getting worse.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. And I think it's the more and more that we as outsiders with a good sense of what's going on. And also I would say a sense of like, what's cool, what's hard going on. The more that we have questions, and we always have questions, we're never not going to have questions. But I think, after this slopestyle final at the Olympics, a lot of people had questions. And that's weird. right? That's weird. And you're never,
Yeah.
it's a judge sport. It's never going to be perfect, but there shouldn't be as many question marks.
Yeah. And so, and
It's
look, you know, again, like I'm not looking to pile on, right? Like I'm really not. Like judging sucks, right? And I know it sucks.
sure.
And so this is, you know, one is leading in my other point that judges need more resources. Like we've been doing this for the past couple years, and if it's honestly getting worse, if that's really what's happening, like all of the warning lights, you know, on the, you know, safety panel in the power plant, they're all glowing red. There's sirens going off. Like we all know that there's a problem. We need to have the tough conversation to be like, how do we fix it? What we're doing isn't working, right? And I'm not saying the judges aren't trying. I think the judges are really, really trying, but they get paid like garbage.
Sure.
I don't know how often they actually like, you know, are able to get together and like, you know, talk about new runs, like train new judges. I don't know how much that's happening. I'm so far outside of it. I sense it's not happening very often. We need to pay them more. We need to give them more funding for more training, find more judges, retain the judges you have, train the judges you have. There needs to be more for judges, period. There is not enough.
Yeah, my thought on it is like, oh, let's say they're going to pay a bunch of money, and we're two guys over here that are very opinionated about the judging, right? I'm not jumping into judging, right? And you're
Yeah.
not going back to it. Like
No.
the path that I see or that I think would be great is you've got some athletes who've retired. They
Yeah.
still ski. They're very much a part of the culture and the industry.
Yeah.
And how do we incentivize them? Like, here's a case in point, right? Because the panel
Yeah.
can't be made up of all from one country, right?
Of course not.
How great do you think it would be if you had, say, Joss Christensen and Ferdinand Dahl on
That
a
sounds
judging
great.
panel together? And
Let's
the
do
other
it.
thing I like about it is those guys are friends, I'm pretty sure. I think I just saw a clip of them skiing together, right? That's okay. You can be friends. You can think alike as long as you're willing to
Yeah.
have that conversation and critically watch every single run. And they know that's somebody that just knows the heartbreak of like, what just happened at this event, right?
Yeah.
And they also know the flip side of it where they do get scored well and everybody's like okay with the podium and how like good that feels too. When the entire field, you could say athletes and coaches are all like, yep, that was it. Those are few and far between. Those should be happening more often than not.
And that used to be a thing that happened all the time, right? It was when people stopped competing, not everyone, but yeah, a lot of people got into judging, a lot of athletes. And that's not to say you need to be a former X Games athlete, right? To be good at judging. That's not what it means at all. I just don't understand why it's not a thing anymore. Right? Like there's something going on that I don't understand. Because like, when I stopped competing, I was stoked to get into judging, right? A lot of my friends were in judging, whatever. And all like, you know, we went to events and we argued about skiing for a week and it was awesome, right? Like it was one of my favorite times. We had a blast. And I don't understand why there's no appeal in that anymore.
I mean,
it's a shitty job, but other than that, you know.
it's a dumpy job for sure. And as much as we rag on the judges and or the system, you know, I think like half of what we just talked about like is also just the system and your criteria that you wrote down that doesn't seem to be getting followed, or somebody else crunches numbers that you put in and you have like nothing to do with the final say necessarily, even though you do, especially section 2 judges.
No, but honestly, like to me, like, you know, you can't blame the person at McDonald's that serves you mediocre fries. I mean, you whatever, you kind of can, but the problem is that McDonald's fries just suck, right? Like that's the problem. And the person, you know, there's only so much salt you can put on French fries. You know what I mean? And that's where I feel like we're at with the judges right now. Like, you just can't give, you know, whatever, this body, right? Like this organization, nothing and expect them to judge what might be the hardest sport to judge on the planet, which is slopestyle. You know what I mean? Like it's really, really hard. And and honestly, I've given up on FIS. Like, I don't think FIS will do anything. Like, being totally honest, like, I don't think they're going to do anything. We need to talk to X Games League and we need to talk to Snow League and be like, guys, please help us. Please help us support the judges so that, we can train more judges or, whatever. Train the judges we have, pay the judges we have better. Like, help us get more resources to judges.
I think, again, if our picture of the future, and it is kind of like what we would like to see, right? Where this World Cup's kind of take a step down, Snow League and X Games League take a big step up, and those are kind of like our deciding things. It's like, I think there's a monetary piece too. And I think some of the people that are out there judging are probably doing it for the love of the sport, because I'm sure they're being paid next to nothing by FIS, right?
Yeah,
so I think there is like there's like a love and there's like a culture piece, I'm sure, for some of the judges that are there doing it. But if we can turn the tides, you know what I mean? And get like a couple panels of judges that are maybe compensated better through X Games and Snow League, and maybe just a little more consistency through there, then maybe when it does come back, 4 years from now, it's like, yeah, we're not using your FIS approved judging panel. Everybody collectively throughout pipe and big air and slopestyle and in the free skiing world is very much okay with this panel of judges. And this is who should, this whole large change. I'm just over here dreaming, just dreaming of better.
Well, that's who we are, Pete. We are dreamers out here. Yeah. I mean, it just can't continue. Like, it's hard conversations need to happen outside of this YouTube channel, where people are like, all right, guys, okay, it's time. Pete, is it also time for us to finally move on to women's slopestyle? Or because we can complain about judging after women's slopestyle too. It's up to you.
Yeah, we can move on for sure.
Okay. Podium: Mathilde Gremaud, Eileen Gu, Megan Oldham. Pete, your thoughts?
Yeah, totally fine with the podium. I think that was scored right.
I think you're underscoring it. I think it was great.
I think it was great too.
Underscoring it.
Totally down.
You're a bad judge too. Anyway, continue.
Mathilde's been on my power rankings for 2 years now, and it's like this was her event. I'm so happy she got it. And I'll be honest.
Yeah.
So far for the whole games, the moment for me of the whole games was her victory lap, and I don't love victory laps necessarily, right? But her victory lap off the third jump with the flag around her neck and just like full, like, yeah, dude, it was amazing. And I think knowing a little bit of her backstory, at least within the last couple of years, I don't know the whole thing at all. It just seemed like this, like, just such a big, amazing moment to me that I think, like, so far that was like moment of the games, 100%.
Yeah.
It was cool.
I mean, she skied great. She's been skiing great. She 100% deserved it. Yeah, it was awesome. And clearly she was beside herself stoked. Like, yeah. And I mean, the contest was great. Like they had a great weather day. You know, I still don't like the course. You know what I mean? But, the ladies aren't really trying to do triples. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't think the jumps were like super teeny tiny to them. I'm sure they wouldn't have minded if they were a little bigger. Don't get me wrong. But I think it showed more on the men's side. I think the ladies contest went off great.
Yeah, I think it did too. I don't know if I've hammered on the rails yet. I think I have, but I think
you can go again though if you want.
I'll go again just one more time. It's like, stop making them 8 feet off the ground just because it's the Olympics. I think I've said this before. I can't remember, but like, a bigger and or more challenging rail doesn't mean height off the ground necessarily.
Not necessarily.
It doesn't make your course look any bigger or better to have the rail so much farther off the ground. And also, if you're going to put a down flat down in, make it sure that it's a down flat down that you can ride, not a down up down, which is next to impossible.
You're not wrong.
I mean, yeah, a couple of the men pulled it off, but that's like 2 of the best of the entire world in free skiing, 3 maybe that hit it. So yeah, just like a couple of gripes there. But honestly, I think, because the women's contest had a great weather day too, I don't think really anything from the course side of things like detracted enough from the competition that it was like, an absolute fair showing. And good podium.
Yeah, I agree. I want to, so I feel like when we talk about events too, we should give like a Heart and Hustle award, you know what I mean? To like, not necessarily someone that was on the podium, but someone, whatever, you just kind of liked. And I'm going to give my Heart and Hustle award to Maria Gaslitter.
Okay.
I mean, really, the biggest reason is just every single time, like, she is skiing, she seems like the happiest person on earth. And I mean, like, she's good, too. Like, I feel like Big Air was probably, she skied a little better. But whatever. Like, I just like her.
She's fine on Big Air.
Yeah, I just like her. Whenever I see her ski, it makes me happy. I like Maria Gaslitter. She's just, I feel like she's just a good human to be around. Pete, do you have a Heart and Hustle award for someone on this list?
I think like Hart, and it's like kind of the opposite, where it's like Avery, Krumme, who was very young, was the only American that got in there. And it's just like, I think she had a tough go, and you could tell like there was some weight on her shoulders. But she she gave it her all for 3 runs, and it just, again, it's maybe I just want to highlight like how amazing it was that she got into finals. Like, it was not an easy final to get into, obviously, on an Olympic stage and at her age. And so, to make it there and, get through 3 runs, good, bad, ugly. I guess it's just to say that us back at home here, we're proud of you, and we're pumped, and we're
seeing how far she came this year from the beginning of the year until now is insane. And
it's wild.
It's not one of those things where you want to say going into an Olympic Games, like, regardless of what you do, it doesn't really matter because this year's been crazy for you. But that kind of really is the case. You know what I mean? Like, she could have done anything, right? Like, she could have blown out on all 2 qualifying runs, whatever it is. Now it would have been like, Avery, you're doing fine. Like, don't worry about it.
Sure.
Like, just because your year has been insane. Congrats on a great year. But that's how I felt.
Yeah.
She didn't do that,
absolutely.
but that's still how I felt.
No, and I think like we're fans. We have been watching you rise this year, and then also we're super pumped to see you in the future. So,
yeah, for sure.
Big ups to Avery. Good job.
Yeah. Heart and Hustle number 2.
I like it.
So Big Air has already happened, but we're not going to talk about that yet. That will be next episode on your playlist. We got all kinds to talk about that as well, so let's not get into that. But Pete, anything else you have on your mind? I know you got some stuff. Let's. You know what? Before that, we need to plug. The OPP. We're not updating the OPP now for some reason. I don't know. We'll do it at some point. But if you would like any gear of your favorite skiers, maybe Hunter Hess, maybe Alex Ferrer, you can buy a hoodie if you head right on over to fist-sucks.com. And then /rankings is where the OPP is. Whatever. And also, if you'd like to join Pete and I in trying to hit 100 subscribers by the 2034 Salt Lake City Olympics, you can go ahead and hit subscribe on YouTube.
Tons of time. Just hit it once. Hit it.
Yeah, once is all it takes. Yeah, we only need, a lot more.
I do have one last thing to say after watching like all of the Olympics, and that's why your OPP list isn't going to be updated super quick, because we're invested. I'm invested in everything.
We're literally getting up at 4 a.m. to watch these events, so we're a little tired and grumpy.
It's been great. I have so many questions about other sports. Like, if we do a double luge, why can't we do a double skeleton? So just lots and lots of questions. Can we put more people in a bobsled sled? Right?
I'm certain that we can. We can clown car that thing.
5?
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots and lots of questions. But just looking at the overall medal account, and I went back a few years too, and it's like Norway is so,
you did some research,
strong.
Pete.
Yeah, the tiniest bit. And then I'm going to say it like it's just, I know everything. I don't know anything. But yet Norway is always strong in the Winter Olympics. And I think you hear it all the time. It's like, it's cold there all the time. It's a Nordic country. And like, that's what they do there. And it's like, those are all excuses to me. That's like BS. I think that we as a nation could be doing a lot more to support winter sports. And I think it starts really, really young. And I think it's like a go cross-country ski for free with some coaches and the gear.
Ooh.
And what states could we do that in? Like, I don't know, every single northern state. But like,
I mean, it snows in Texas
that,
these days, Pete. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But if you want to get into that, it's like, well, you got to pay some money and you got to buy some gear. And oh my gosh, if you were considering, I don't know, going to Aspen or Vail or Park City or Deer Valley, you know, we need to like cut the barrier, like the cost of entry into our sports. Yeah, we need to get rid of that, and we need to start like fostering some love for these sports so that we can have people grow up who maybe that's their thing. Maybe there's a cross-country skier who lives in Iowa who has never cross-country skied but has the best VO2 max ever. They're not identified because they have no opportunity to do that, right?
I like it.
We could be doing a lot more to support our medal hopes instead of being third and fourth in the entire medal count. And I know that's like, oh, whatever, it's like the medal count, blah, blah, blah. It's not. What are we doing? If we're not going for gold as a nation, you know, then Norway is. Norway is going to go for gold all the time, and they're gonna beat us in the medal count every single year, and we're gonna be third or fourth place. And is that what we want?
Nope.
That's not what we want. That's not what I want. That's not what RFK and Kid Rock, who I just saw sitting in a sauna working out, want either. They want the kids to be fit and doing winter sport. I don't
I'm not sure Kid Rock is really all that invested in it, but you know, maybe you're right.
He was in the sauna. I saw him in the sauna. Okay. So I just, this is my PSA to the United States as a whole. And if I was a billionaire, which like I'm working on it, everybody's working on it someday, you never know. That's where I would put my money. It would be so that kids can go out and enjoy and find some love in a sport that they might not have. And in turn, I'm going to be making us look good on the big stage because we're going to be number one in the medal count. And that's where we should be.
You hear that,
Watch
America?
out, Norway.
Pete is telling you to get good. Get off the couch, put on some cross-country skis.
It doesn't have to be cross-country skis. I mean, it could be cross-country, but you also like to shoot guns. We got the biathlon for you. You know what I mean?
Completely agree. How is America not good at the biathlon?
Dude, we love guns.
I completely agree. I was watching it the other day, and I'm just like, how is it possible that America is not dominating the biathlon? It makes zero sense to me.
I got a gun safe right over here. I got a ton of guns. Okay? Everybody's got guns here, and that's
I don't have a lot of guns, but